All right, so we got a podcast today. Nick Irving, he has a podcast with the Reaper. I mean, Sean Ryan has a podcast with Nick Irving. It's a 5.5 hour long podcast, so we're gonna do this in like 30-minute increments.
Nick Irving,
Mhm.
welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
We have
If the
I've
first
been
one gets views, we'll
tracking you
drop
for
part
a
two,
long
part three,
time,
part four. Like,
years,
you know what I'm saying? We'll
and
just do it part by
been
part.
trying to get your attention, and then finally, what about 6 months ago ish,
Yeah.
He's a
finally got
sniper.
through to
It's
you, and man, I'm just honored to have you here,
All the
and
honors.
I think you're a great representation of the community that you come from, the Ranger community,
Army
and
Ranger.
I'm really excited to dive into this. So
Kind
thank you.
words, man. Thank you. Thank you.
My
Hope I
pleasure.
live up to it.
You will. There's not a doubt in my mind. But starting off with your introduction here. So you're a husband and father. You've been married for 16 years, going on 17.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's crazy, man. I've been getting, there's like a 90, what is there, like a 90?
And shout out to the military, man. Much respect to everyone who served and is serving right now, man. Shout out to you. Thank you.
Something percent divorce rate
Oh,
in
yeah.
special ops.
Yeah.
And about the past 5 or 6
Hmm.
guys I've had on have all had lengthy 10 years plus married.
That's a good thing then. It's a rarity.
Yeah.
Like you don't see it often. I
Yeah.
think it's just it's a good thing. Yeah, I say it's a good thing to be able
Yeah.
to stick with someone that long. Yeah.
Bro has a tattoo that says
The
sniper. That's
deadliest
fire.
sniper named the Reaper with 33 confirmed kills over the course of just 4 months. New York Times best-selling author of The Reaper and Way of the Reaper, author of Reaper the Board, served 6 years in U.S. Army Special Operations 3rd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. You're the first African American to deploy into the global war on terrorism as a sniper in your battalion.
Wow.
Owner of Hard Shoot. You train personnel in the art of long range shooting, and former mentor on the Fox reality show American Grit.
That sums it up pretty good. Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No. No. No.
Look at this tattoo, bro. That's sick. Oh my. Then a bullseye with a skull in it. Oh my
No.
god.
I don't even care anymore about that stuff, man. To be honest, like there's a few TV shows and movies, but no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even care, man.
Do you like doing the
Is he
TV
tearing
stuff?
up?
Not anymore. I lost that itch. I was doing a show for Discovery Channel, and I lost the itch thereafter. The show was called Master of Arms. It was like Forged in Fire, where they would forge stuff.
I think I've
Yeah,
I
seen
was one
this.
of the judges, but I would just test the weapons. And I just had a bad experience with that. And then thereafter, I was supposed to do a TV show with Tim Kennedy and a few other snipers. And it was my second go around with that stuff. And I just kind of lost the itch after it. I guess the Hollywood lifestyle.
Yeah.
I've done like the Transformers stuff and
You were in Transformers too?
Yeah.
What?
Transformers. Then I helped
What?
with the show or the movie The Wall. Terrible movie. It was like it's like a 2-star movie on
I
Amazon.
think I've
But
heard
it's
of
called
that.
The Wall, and it was a cool experience because I got a chance to hang with one of my good friends, is John Cena. We've been
Oh
hanging
wow.
out since like 2015, I
Him and
believe.
John Cena are
14 or
friends.
15. Good guy, and it was cool to work with him. But other than that, and the guy who did Jason Bourne, the director, cool experience. But it was just it. I lost the taste after that.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that is going on in Hollywood that you hear about. I've had my taste of nothing along those lines of just weird stuff in Hollywood after my last show with Discovery Channel. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot is coming out about the circles in Hollywood.
Oh
And
yeah.
none of it seems to be
Don't want to be involved with that,
No.
buddy.
by any means. But moving on. So I have a subscription account on Patreon. They've been here since the beginning. They're top supporters. And so I give them an opportunity to ask every guest possible a question.
Mhm.
And so here is a question from Stephen Casey. What is the best decision that you've ever made, and how has that helped you?
That's the first question.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
tough
deep
one.
one.
It's a
Wow.
broad question.
What's the best decision I've ever made? And how has it helped me? Stop caring so much. That's probably been the best decision. Stop caring so
Oh
much.
my gosh, bro. I've been saying this my whole life, bro. Oh my gosh. And this is a broad term, bro. I've always said this. Stop caring so much, bro. Stop caring so much. Whether that's caring about what people think about you, caring about life so much, because life is just a precious thing, bro. And if you take it so serious, you're not gonna have no fun. You're not gonna. Gosh, bro. I know so many people that are so uptight and just care about every little thing, and it's just like, how do you live every day like that, bro? Thank thank you for saying that, Nick Irving. Oh my
Much
gosh.
about the outside and care more so about what's on the inside.
Facts.
Meaning
That too. Like it's a
what's going
broad
on in my
statement.
life, observing that, how I'm feeling emotionally, the issues that I've had, acknowledging that, taking care of that. Even if you're not, I wasn't taking care of it, when I first started to acknowledge it. It was just,
Are you talking about quit paying attention to external influences?
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's crazy. I was just on a podcast yesterday, and I said the exact same thing.
Really?
That's crazy.
Hey, man. I was remote viewing and I heard you say that. That's what happened. But that's like
Remote viewing is a psychic term, by the way. It's like psychics say they can remote view stuff. Like that's a crazy. He's definitely joking, but that's crazy.
the best thing or best advice that I've taken from myself was, so yeah, stop caring so much about the external forces and things that are out of my control.
Can't control
I
them.
can't
Yeah,
control
bro.
what other
Oh
people
my
think,
gosh,
what
this
they
dude's
believe, what
preaching.
they, want to believe about me or anything. I can't control that. Only thing I can control is myself. So,
Oh
not
my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh, I might have to end the video here. This is all I came for. This is what I've been preaching to everyone. Man, I want.
worrying so much about the outside, just more so about taking care of me. Like when we die, we're all going to go in that casket
And that's not a selfish thing either. That's not selfish. Because you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else.
by ourselves,
People, ignorant people will call you selfish for what he's saying right here, but it's not. This dude served selflessly. He put his life on the line for the entire country. He's not selfish, so you can't call him selfish. But when I say all this that he's saying, I get called selfish. Come
And
on,
I
bro.
think that is my biggest takeaway, knowing that at the end of the day, it's just going to be me anyways. So I really shouldn't have to care about the outside forces and other things that I can't control. You know, I have to stand before the judge by myself at the end. So,
Yeah, that's man, that's great. I'm glad you said that.
Me too,
What led
man.
you to start looking internally instead of externally,
mhm.
and how did that, I mean, affect your daily life, maybe your business life, anything?
I would say the birth of my son. So, long story, I've always wanted a family, like a kid. I wanted two originally. I still want two, just the way things are. I don't have control over that. But I knew before I turned 30, I said, before I turn 30, my 30th birthday, I want to have my first child. Fast forward, my 30th birthday, on the date, my son pops out. Being there and witnessing that,
What?
seeing that, and the struggle that he had to go through. He was born with like a weird heart condition.
Ah,
There's,
bro, that
it's healed
sucks,
up
bro.
thankfully now. But it was it was hard to watch and not have to feel so much power of wanting to, dang, I'm gonna already choke up, dude. But yeah, having no control of that circumstance and realizing, like, I guess how important life really is, it all came in that moment. And that's when the switch went on of, like nothing really matters. And I wanted to be there for him in the long run. So that's when the
And when he says nothing really matters, bro, he's talking about like none of his external problems matter. Like, only thing that matters is that's gonna go over a lot of people's heads. That's all I'm saying, bro. You gotta know what he's saying.
switch definitely changed was, yeah, I wanted to stick around for him.
How did it affect your life?
Oh man, drastically. I was too caught up in outside circumstances, outside forces that I had no control over. I was too caught up in the outside world. And having that center point, that center focus being my son, and like everything, I guess, went away, if you want to, yeah, all the issues that I had, not issues, but my perspective of what was important in life changed. And what was important for me would be able to raise my son and be there for him. So it definitely helped out as far as ignoring what everybody else thought. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted my son to think, my dad is the, coolest. I can go to my dad at any time, no matter what. I'm gonna be, I'm always gonna be his dad. I can't always be what some guy on the internet or some family member wants me to be. I can't be that. I can't be all those things
Mm-hmm.
at once, but what I can be is better for my son. So
Preach
yeah,
that shit, boy.
Man, thanks for sharing that.
I
For
appreciate it, man.
real.
But before we get in, man, we're already starting to get deep here.
Right.
But before we get into your life story, and that's what I want to do, we're going to start the childhood, go into your military career, go into your transition, civilian career, businesses that you run, and but before we do that, everybody gets a gift.
Games went downhill when they got rid of cheats. We're bringing them back. Weemod gives you dozens of cheat codes.
What is this?
What
What's
do
that?
we
What is
got,
this?
man?
Everybody gets a
Oh.
gift.
We just talked about this.
That we did.
The gummies, man.
Did.
Weed
Now,
gummies?
those are made in the USA and are legal in all 50 states.
Weed
They are
gummies.
legal.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
Oh, I can make it work, man. I can make it work. Dude, my wife used to send me pounds of these overseas.
Haha.
Pounds. I ate in one sitting a full pound of gummy bears, and by the time it came out, I had one large gummy bear in the toilet.
That's what oh my god, bro.
Oh man, but
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. But so let's dive in. Let's start with childhood. Where did you grow up?
Grew up, well, born in Augsburg, Germany. Both of my parents
Military.
were counterintelligence in the army. During the Cold War time, copying Morse code, deciphering Morse code, and uh, sending it off to the NSA, I believe, at the time. After they left the army, or during that transition, we moved from Augsburg to Florida. I stayed in Florida for about a year, in Pensacola, a year or two. My mom retired. My dad stayed in for a little bit longer, and we moved to Maryland at this place, at a place called, what was on Walker Drive, near Fort Meade, near NSA. Um, Not on Fort Meade, the base, but near it. It was like a government housing, and stayed there from 80, geez, I forget the 80, I want to say 89 or 90 to 93. Stayed in this haunted house that was built on a graveyard and cemetery, and
Legitimately haunted?
legitimately haunted.
All right, we got to dive into this.
Legit, bro. Like,
Hold on. How old
This
are you?
dude believes in haunted stuff?
I was at the time, four,
I would've
5
never
years
thought.
old.
Okay.
What?
4 or 5 years old. That was my first experience I'll never forget this experience. So I'm
4 or
laying in
5
bed
and you
on
remember this?
You can look up this old place. It's Walker Drive, Fort Meade, near Fort Meade. There's no more houses there. It's just all built up and torn down. But lived in this all brick house that was connected to another home that if you poked the hole through the wall, you could see the neighbors in the adjacent room. Few 100 square foot home, very, very, very small. And my dad would always say if you stood in the front door, you could spit and you'd hit the backyard. This very small home.
Normal
So as a
military
kid,
housing type
We would
stuff?
always hear like people running upstairs, footsteps.
Oh,
and my
hell
parents
no.
would, ignore it. It's just the house creaking or whatever. And these footsteps would start to come down the stairs. You'd hear heavy
Nope,
footsteps
nope, nope,
just
nope, 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 nope.
going around upstairs, and they start to go downstairs, and they would stop. A few other times you would hear conversations, but like whispers or like staticky whispers on a radio station you couldn't tune into all the way. And as a kid, you don't think too much of it. You just hear stuff. But the scariest, most traumatizing, if you want to call it that, experience that I've had, I was laying in bed, and now to this day, I'm paranoid of sleeping on my back because of it. Laying in bed on my back, and something woke me up. And I see a soldier who, at the time, I had no idea what his uniform looked like. It was different than my dad's. I didn't find out later that it was like a old Civil War style uniform.
What?
And I see a soldier walk past my doorway. I rub my eyes, put the blankets over my head, rub them some more, and look back down. And now it's not just one, there's soldiers, a line of them, walking, and they would turn to go down the stairs into the main living room space.
What?
Maybe 10 soldiers passed by. The last soldier, he got in my doorway, turned, looked, and started to walk into my room towards me. Jumped out of my bed, ran through him into the bathroom, curled up on the toilet, and started screaming. My dad runs out, and I'm screaming at him, please don't spank me, please don't spank me, because that's what normally would happen. And he came in, grabbed me, held me, and I told him what I saw as best as I could. And he says, I know, son, I know. I saw it too. That was my
What?
first real ghost experience.
Whoa, he did see it too?
Yeah, well, to pass by, his room was to the left of my room. And yeah, so I guess they were coming out the wall in the hallway, walking past his door and my door before they went downstairs. And he saw it, I saw it,
What?
terrified me.
That just gave me
And
chills,
the
bro.
looks of their clothes, never forget. The uniforms they wore the long gun with the musket, or not musket, but it had a long, not sword, but knife, bayonet
Bayonet.
at the tip
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it. And they were marching with the little cap hats down the stairs. I had never seen that uniform a day in my life,
What?
and I won't forget it. And the last guy walking into my room, yeah,
Did you have more experiences?
yeah, yeah. I've had one, I guess more recent, when within the past 15 years or so, I was working at a gun range called Rifles Only. It's a big precision rifle uh, training facility. And me and one of the instructors, his name's Win, and we're driving down this dirt road to get to where the facility is. It's at nighttime. We had just gotten back from the bar. I wasn't drinking. I was designated driver, but I was sitting passenger seat. But regardless, we're driving, and I hear it sounded like a radio came on, the static, and I heard this old lady chuckling, laughing, and saying something. I couldn't understand what she was saying, but it sounded like she was in the floorboard. That's what it sounded like. And I look at him, and he looks over at me, and it completely went off. It stopped. He looks over at me, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Dude, you heard that, right?" And he's like, "It's not my radio." He had an old pickup truck. The wires are all over the place, and it's an old beat up pickup truck. Radio does not work. And we just kind
Dude,
of
what?
ignored it after that. Never talked about it. He didn't want to believe it, but we both heard what we heard. It was an old lady in the floorboard talking to some, I don't know what she was saying. It's an old lady.
Whoa.
If
Whoa.
When, if you're out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Damn.
But that's my experience.
Well, let's go back to childhood. So you grew up in
Dude,
a
that's
haunted house
insane,
in
bro.
Maryland.
Yep. And it was built on a cemetery. That was like pretty much. And as a kid, I remember. Okay, so this is the weird portion. My mom, her side of the family, my grandmother, they've been introduced to like voodoo or magic. And I knew this trick as a kid of how to listen to hell, yeah, with the sewing needle and a cup, and to listen to the
What
screams
the
of hell.
f-
I don't know if I never heard anything, but you hear, I think it's just the echo inside the cup. But we would leave a devil pie for the devil or whatever. We would make it out of mud and stuff like that. Me and my next door's neighbor, Kia and Tasha, two girls, and we were doing stuff like that as kids, like weird stuff like that. My sister, another scary story for you. We hear a knock on the door, or she did, and she goes to the back door, and there's two women standing there in all white.
Mm-mm.
There's no white people where we live at. There's two blonde hair ladies standing at the door. They took her out to the playground, and when she came back, she learned how to make where you take a gallon of milk, cut it out to make a bird feeder. And she came back with that, and the ladies taught her how to make it, but there were no ladies. So, yeah, that was another incident.
What
Wow.
the?
I don't know if she knows that one vividly. and I
Very
witnessed that.
strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. How many siblings did you have?
At that time, living with us, we had three. So, me, my younger sister, and my older sister. And I have another sister I just found out about like
What?
a year ago. And my brother, I thought was my friend when I first met him. In Florida, I thought that this kid was cool, but turned out he was my brother too. So I have, that I know of,
What?
yeah, 5.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. My dad was getting around, man. He was getting around.
Right on. Well, let's go back. So you grew up around voodoo?
I knew about it. Like different spells and stuff like that, if you want to call it that. Like
Huh?
how to make a woman fall in love with you, how a woman, if she makes a guy fall in love with her, how to listen to hell and stuff like that. But
How would these subjects get broached in your household?
my grandmother, at the time when she grew up around it more, my mom had a spell put on her supposedly, and it made her stomach swell up with they don't know what. But she used to steal oranges and stuff off of people's trees in Georgia. And one of the neighbors in where she lived at on this dirt road and told her to stop doing it or she was going to put a spell on her. And she hung up something in the tree. My mom ate it and she got like inflated or something. So that's where
What?
we got, I guess, introduced to it. And my cousins, the older ones, they would teach us stuff too. Like, don't eat spaghetti from a chick you just met or if she offers it to you.
Why?
Because you want to know, I guess?
Yeah, let's
Oh.
hear it.
What?
Well, it's nasty. But her menstrual cycle blood.
Bro, don't go there,
making
bro.
The sauce for the pasta. They would use that. And give it to the guy
Bro,
to make the guy.
That's
fall in
not a
love.
spell, bro.
Or that attachment. And for the
That's
guy,
not a
he would use
spell,
his
bro.
underarm sweat and cook it in
That's
that
not as
noodle
bad.
water. Put his underarm sweat in it to make a female do the same thing.
Are you serious? Is this stuff real? I mean, what do you think?
I've never been.
You didn't pull that on your wife, did you?
No. And if I did, I wouldn't tell her. No. That was destined to be, I think.
How prevalent was that in your household? I mean, was that
My parents did. They had like a Ouija board and stuff, and
Oh, hell nah.
back before they had, I guess, their religious awakening. Well, we had a Ouija board and stuff like that, but I was never exposed greatly to it. It was more so like my dad would show us how to lift people when they sit in the chair and you stack your hands up on top of them until you all feel the heat rise up, and then you lift the person out of the chair and they float, stuff like that. But
Huh?
that's like,
Does that work?
he taught you how to do that?
yeah.
What? Let's go into that. I've never heard anything like
Really?
this. I've never.
Yeah.
I've never.
Wow.
I've
known anything
never
about this
either.
stuff.
So you sit in a chair, right? Like a stool or a little chair. And you have one person on each. So you have one person on this knee, this elbow, and one at the back of the
Like
face of the neck.
touching or sitting or.
Not touching yet. Then they're all standing around you. The person in the chair sitting, everybody else is standing around you. Then they take their hands and they stack their right hand first, and then they stack their left hand on top of that. So it's a big pattern. Each one is stacking over and over until all the hands are complete. Then when the top person, the top hand says they feel the heat, and everybody's going to be calling out, I feel the heat. when they feel the whatever is rising up through their hand. When it gets to the top person, they all go like this and they touch this side, this side, this elbow, and the person at the back of the neck does that, and you lift the person up and they float.
You seen this happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I've done it to my sister, me and my cousins.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. Yeah.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
There's no
I don't
way
know.
that shit works, bro.
I have no idea.
Like they're legitimately floating.
Legitimately, well, you're touching them and they're in the air.
It's like some levitation stuff.
Like that. But they're not, you don't let go. You keep your fingertips on them. And I think that's where the energy goes back into them and they lower back down. Yeah.
Whoa.
You should look it up. Yeah.
I will look it up.
Definitely.
Wow.
We'll
What?
do it one time. We need some more people. But it's legit.
What?
Yeah. My dad used to do, he did it in the army.
Bro, what?
During a, what do you call those things where, like a talent contest or something like that?
Talent
Where they
show?
were just like some people would go up and like sing or a talent.
Yeah, talent show.
Talent show.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad did with some of his coworkers. And they had the biggest guy sit in a chair and he had females do it, all women, and they lifted up the biggest guy in their unit out of the chair. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. I totally wasn't
Really?
expected to go down this road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me show you how to block
Dude.
this ad. First, you're gonna click on this video.
I'm trying that,
Open
bro.
it up. It's an ad blocker.
I'm trying that. What? How do you do that?
100%, man.
How do you
So
do
what?
that?
I mean, what is it? Is it a religion?
Well, not really necessarily. Like voodoo comes from Africa, and it was like, according to who you talk to or what the belief is, that was our original religion, but it was not religion. It was just a spirituality of the manipulation of the spirit.
My
world.
neck just cramped,
And
bro.
That's what they practiced before religion was introduced, and they were killed and stuff like that for practicing what they perceived to be is black magic from black people's magic. So they said no more and introduced a different form of spirituality, which I'm not against. I think that I think all religion is a form of magic. Even prayer is a form of magic, you know? It's just the belief that you're putting something into the spirit realm, asking a deity or an entity to whatever you want. Ask and you shall receive. As above, so below. As within, so without. All these things. So they all coincide with each other. I think all roads lead to Rome. It's just how we interpret and practice different beliefs.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Back to childhood.
Yeah.
So what were you, other than voodoo?
Yeah.
What were you into as a kid? I mean, what grabbed your interest?
Wow. I love space. I used to want to be an astronaut. My dad was a big space geek. He was always, taking me outside to look through the telescope to look at the moon and look at the stars and show me where Orion's belt was at and how to find the North Star, the Big Dipper, Little Dipper. Like I teach my son this stuff, at his age now, and he's 7. But how to find north, south, east, and west, and different star constellations and how to read them. So I've always wanted to be an astronaut. Like originally, that was my first dream. So for fun, pretending I was an astronaut, making cardboard boxes, and wanting to blast off into space. That was like my original dream until my dad showed me Chuck Norris Delta Force and Charlie Sheen Navy SEALs. Then my whole perspective of what I wanted to do changed. And then school. I got into school and I wasn't like too great at it. And the astronaut thing was out of the window.
Why weren't you great at school? You weren't into it, or?
I wasn't really into it. Like first grade was easy. Anybody can say that. But I just like to play and I like to joke around, and I don't know if I had like ADHD or something like that, but it was hard for me to focus. And the way I used to read, and I guess I still do read, like for me, I would read one sentence and build that story, as opposed to reading the whole paragraph and then building it or building it as you go along. I would break each sentence out of that paragraph or chapter into my mind to build that story. And I guess it just took too long, and I wasn't great at math and anything. So started to realize I wasn't great at school in like the second or third grade, and that's when I used to get into a lot of trouble at home for not bringing home, good grades. So yeah, and after the haunted house, I moved to a little bit near in the near the city portion of Baltimore, Maryland. Not this city, but in Maryland, and that's where I stayed from 1993 to 2004 when I graduated, and that's where we spent my entire life, pretty much.
What did you enjoy doing as a kid? Were you an athlete, like about
Yeah,
the woods? I mean,
yeah. I love being in the woods with my granddad. We would take trips to this small place called Hogansville, Georgia. Small, small spot in Georgia, and my granddad had a lot of land. So yeah, the whole like slave lineage. My great 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 granddad was a slave, and no, a slave owner. I'm sorry, and ended up raping one of the women, and so we come from like that lineage, and that land and that plot of land ended up staying with the family because the guy who is a white guy who was a slave owner, of course, and having a relationship and with one of the slaves and mistresses, whatever you want to call her, and somehow that land, because he loved her, got inherited to our family, and he has a bunch of land out there, and uh, yeah, my grandmother, and my mom picked cotton and cleaned homes for people. Um, so yeah, it was like that. But I would go down there in the summertime, and I loved being outdoors with him. He would take me hunting and showed me how to shoot my first gun, which was a 20 gauge shotgun, and how to farm. So I like farming. I'm not a farmer, but I like to grow and plant and maintain the crops and stuff. I like doing that as a kid.
very cool.
Yeah, and then
That's where we're gonna cap off part one of this, man. Let me know if y'all want to see more of this, man. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm definitely gonna record it, and I'll post it. See how well it does, man. But this dude is insane in a good way.